Welcome to our The Ethics Experts Special Edition. We're here at the CEI conference. And here I have Jacki, who's going to tell us about, you just headed up a really great session on, what was it, communicating across cultures, right?
Exactly. Communication across cultures and training diverse audiences. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun. I presented with Kirsten Liston and Mary Shirley, and we all have really different perspectives. But with diverse audiences, you need that. And I have to tell you, I think the reception for the session was very good. The questions were great. And it was a good opportunity to share some of the learnings we've had. I mean, I opened up not with a success story, but with a fail, just to let people know, it's going to happen. You're going to make mistakes, but it'll come back to you.
Yeah, that's great. And I thought it was really cool because I like the way that, from the stories that you told, Jacki, you've been really dedicated to figuring this thing out, right? Like, a lot of people see these challenges and it's hard to get people to take the training and to retain the information. And it seems like you've been really dynamic at testing new ways to, specify this across different people, age groups and cultures and technology adherence and things like that. And it seems like you've been dynamic in figuring out good ways to get this done. And I really appreciate you sharing that path of your learning and how you've gotten better at it.
Thanks. Well, like most people, I didn't start out knowing to do that, right? And I said it during the session. I'll say it again. I've made mistakes and learned from them. And the most important thing I think learned is to get feedback from the people who are actually doing the training. They're going to tell you what they want. I mean, it all started for me years ago when a salesperson said to me in an antitrust training, just tell me what I can and can't do. They don't care what the law is. They just want to know. And that was the genesis of it. And from then, I've tried to make it easier, more enticing, and always trying to find that what's in it for them to make them care. Sure. Because, there's science that says if people care about something, they're more likely to retain it. And that's only my goal.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. That what's in it for them perspective. I think sometimes, I'll just overgeneralize here, but in compliance and ethics, we're balancing so much, right? The board says this and the regulation says this and we have to do this. And we're kind of worried about what everyone else needs people to do. Well, our audience, our stakeholders, they have their self-interest, right? They need to figure this out and balance it against everything else. And I thought that there was a really interesting discussion in the session about balancing and managing your stakeholders. And you and the team there really broke down kind of a nice cross-section of you have different people who are going to approach this training different ways, and they're going to care about it in different ways. And the way that you deliver something that is, enticing or just lands and hits the learning style for those stakeholders, I guess both on the people who, the managers in your divisions or the people who, might help roll this out, and then ultimately the learners, is really a critical part of balancing all the complexity that might be in your training program.
That's it exactly. And the one thing I would say is don't limit yourself to one method or one style of training because you don't have one audience. You never do. You have to take into account always who you're speaking to, much like you would in any meeting. You've got to know your audience so you can get your message across. So you may need to consider multiple styles, but you do what works best for your organization. Don't let anybody tell you out of the box is better. It's not.
Well, you heard it here, right? That's a clear statement. Don't let anyone tell you. You are in charge of your program and run it the way that you know is best. I think the last part of the section was around measurement and improvement, which everyone loves data, right? You love it and hate it. You hate to work with it, but it gives you the insights. I think it's increasingly in demand, and we have an ongoing ability to collect more of those data to run our programs. So what insights really stuck out with you of things that you've learned, or things that if somebody's trying to kind of, get from kind of doing okay to really getting better, they should be looking for in that measurement and improvements approach?
So one of the things I like to say, you think data analytics, you think big fancy dashboards with lots of numbers. Keep it simple. No one really needs that much data. And when I'm reporting to the audit committee, simple, straightforward, pie charts, graphs, really easy, and I don't overload them with data. It's the same thing with anybody else. Give them what they need to know in a simple enough format that they can look at it and understand it. Too much data, you overwhelm people.
That's great. Well, that's a very simple insight that's really profound, I think. And I think, when I'm trying to do that, right, because I've heard that advice before, I need to realize that I need to take a little extra time to simplify the data, right? I can get a ream of data in a printout and say, here are 15 pages of, all the numbers. I need to take a little time to digest that, right? I got to cook the food and chop it up for everyone so it's easier for them to eat it. And I think
that analogy.
You like that? Okay, cool.
Yeah, if you hand me a grocery list, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get the food. You got to do as much of the work as you can for them.
That's a great analogy.
But when you do that, right, it takes a little bit more time, right? You can have your table of all the outputs and put that in the slide deck, or you can boil it down to, 2 data points with, a description of what the story is. And, I think it's hard for us as compliance leaders when we're so, in the weeds and we're working with all of it. And we want to show everyone, hey, here's all the effort that went into this. We kind of want to show a bunch of that. But, a good heuristic for me is try to cut out 70% of what I think should be there. You should deliver, a third of the information and let them ask for more if they want. It takes a little effort to kind of figure out what like the high points are. But I think, as you were saying, Jackie, when you do that, it lands a lot better and it's a lot clearer, and you actually get more credit for delivering a clear message than delivering a really long and complex one.
Well, that's it. And, it's having the more information available if they want it. That's always key. But I kind of boil it down to here's what you need to know, and there's more attached if you want it. And it works, because we're talking about busy people we're reporting to, we're giving these metrics to, and an executive summary is too long at this point. Put it in a picture on a single page, and they're very happy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. There's almost a life hack here. Think about this one. Just put it in the appendix. And if they just know that there's more backup in the appendix, they're like, okay, you probably did the work. We can move on. I'll take your word for it. That's it for right now. Thanks for joining us on this The Ethics Expert Special Edition. Thank you, Jackie, for joining us. And thanks for running a really great session. Stay tuned for more insights from the CEI conference. And we're here to learn ourselves, and we're here to help you learn as well. Thanks, Jackie.